Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of the bill. Our economy grew well last year, but many SMEs continue to face many challenges. SME owners know that they have to respond swiftly or risk being irrelevant. These changes are not just unique to certain companies, they are prevalent across industries. Hence, many businesses want closer collaboration within the industry and for the government to be more involved. The government recognizes this need. Therefore, we set up coordination bodies like the National Productivity Council and the Future Economic Council. The government also established SME centres under the supervision of the new Enterprise Singapore to bring policies to the doorsteps of companies. However, I am concerned about SMEs, especially the micro SMEs, as they need to change fast. Change is at the door. The disruptive future we have been talking about is happening now. Despite all this effort, we have yet to see deep participation of many SMEs and micro SMEs in the industry transformation maps. We need to understand why this is so. From my understanding, I think there's two common factors that helps industry be successful in following through the transformation spelled out in the respective ITMs. First, they have to have industry leaders who have worked successfully with the government and then managed to seek buy-in from the rest of the industry. Second, they will have to have trade associations and chambers, TAC, who also have strong and focused leadership that is able to steer the industry to a clear path of adoption. Driving and catalyzing industry transformation will be a very important part of Enterprise Singapore. As such, I would like to propose 3 points for Enterprise Singapore's consideration. My first point is to professionalize the TACs. The accounting and law sectors are prime examples of how TACs have been professionalized. For one, they are staffed by relevant industry professionals who then bring with them the domain expertise in the industry promotion or transformation work. Having people with the relevant knowledge and experience in the TAC also means that they can help the TAC develop industry code of conduct, standards, benchmarking, and development programs. And there is great value in getting each TAC to be staffed by people of their respective industry. Effective TACs are not just limited to firms practicing professional services. Singapore Business Federation is another good example. Today, all Singapore-registered companies with a share capital of above $500,000 and above have to join SBF. SBF does have the capital, legitimacy, and professionals to have the clout to fulfill their mandate to help the larger companies. Beyond general business chambers, the real leadership and drive for ITM transformation must come from the specific trade associations who have a more intimate knowledge of the industry and experience. Thus, we can look to get trade associations to have greater ownership. We can also see how we can better resource these associations and industry bodies to relevant professionals so they can provide effective leadership. And this can come through mandatory participation and affordable membership fees. That brings me to my second point, the role of the SME centers. It will be difficult to ensure that every sector have an effective TAC, and within any sector, there's also many smaller industries. Enhanced smaller TACs might help. Enhanced SME centers can help. For now, SME centers spend a large proportion of the time bringing the government grants and incentive to companies, and they have been effective, reaching out to more than 200,000 companies annually. However, with the launch of the new business grant portal, companies here, especially those that are savvy, will be able to self-help for government schemes. As such, there's scope for SME centers to play a dual role, which is to drive the ITMs. They can drive the ITM by encouraging geographical or industry collaboration. For example, the SME centers can provide the industries within the same location with the advantage of the use of common facilities, and shared marketing resources. This will especially help the smaller companies and industries. The SME centers can also develop industry-specific knowledge by hiring or existing staff with relevant industries. Alternatively, Enterprise Singapore can also consider co-opting staff, preferably with industry experience, to an SME center, so that the SME center can be the focal point to help specific industry ITMs. My last point is to tap on additional media channels. While we're doing all that, there's still a danger of some companies falling through the cracks. After all, we cannot force some companies to come up to the SME Center if they're not aware of the initiative or to drive the transformation, and that is a real problem. Our SME landscape is such that many of the owners may not be English educated and may not be very familiar with many government schemes or incentives. While I know that agencies like Spring have made an effort in recent years to reach out to the non-English media, there is scope to do more. Take the Chinese media, for instance. Reaching out to SMEs through Zhaobao may not be sufficient. Some of them read evening dailies like Xinmin Daily or Wanbao. The problem is that many of our SME leaders are not plugged into the national newspapers and simply do not have the luxury of time to flip through the newspaper every day. Hence, we should encourage and explore all forms of media communication, including radio and the media from the Malay and Tamil languages. We could discuss on industry-specific transmission on these new channels and do so in the language of everyday Singaporean. For example, we could have a program about talking about the fate of the prata makers, like something that will gel with the everyday Singaporeans and make people aware of the issues. And this is important because many SME owners and workers, especially from the micro SMEs, are everyday Singaporeans. One might wonder whether it's possible to capture the imagination of everyday Singaporeans, especially in this seemingly technical subject of industry transformation. But I will argue otherwise. Many Singaporeans, especially those above 45 who consume these news channels, are deeply aware of the implication of ongoing business transformation because they live through it every day. And many of them have a deep anxiety about what is next and how to adjust to the changing world. Therefore, using the mass communication channel to talk about the fate of different industries, not just focus everybody on this industry, but getting everyday Singaporeans to think about how to do things differently. Now, when we talk about Industry 4.0, technical terms get thrown around liberally. Digital, data, disruptions are all big words, but all it means is trying to do things differently. And therefore, we must get as many Singaporeans who are staffing our SMEs, who are business owners, to think about doing differently all the time. I have full confidence that Enterprise Singapore will do a good job catalyzing widespread and deep industry ownership of the ITMs and level up our companies. And with that, I fully support the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.